Yes, I did make that mistake in the last episode. I'm so. Oh, are we on? Oh, sorry. I was just answering
Apologizing.
internet comments from the last episode where I showed I was human. Welcome to episode 11 of Matt and Scott Pick Barbara Songs. And it's my pledge from me to you, the home viewer. I will make no mistakes in this episode. Yeah. Matt, welcome to the show.
The episode is young.
Hey, I'm 100% perfect this episode so far.
Okay. Congratulations.
Okay. I mean, come on. The point of the internet is to make strangers feel better about themselves. And we are doing that week after week. Why are we here, Matt?
Thank you for your virtue signaling. And yes, this is unscripted.
So, Matt, what are we here for? Why are we meeting every week? What did you do that we are sharing with the world?
I did something about 300 something pages long. I wrote a book about Barbra Streisand called Barbra Streisand, the music, parentheses, the albums, the singles. And I look at each one of her officially released albums over the last 60 years, including some demos she made at the ripe young age of 20 or 21 years old, up to the Bonsoir, which is her most recently released album, although it's her oldest album recorded from 1962, but didn't get released until 2022. So I go into all those. I do talk about a lot of unreleased stuff. So if the fans want some behind the scenes, a look behind the scenes, definitely check out the book. I even make a list for you to keep it all in one place. So yeah, and the book comes out April 24th.
Yes.
Although if it arrives sooner than that and you've pre-ordered, Scott says he'll ship it out. So
here's the exciting part for our faithful viewers. In the next episode, you're going to get to see the book. I'm going to be holding the book. In fact, I'm not going to use this background, so when I hold things up, you can actually see them.
It'll disappear.
And you're actually going to see the book. I'm going to flip through it. I'm going to be holding the book.
I can't wait to see it.
I know it's going to be Matt's first time.
I've been looking at a PDF for months.
Me too. I haven't seen it yet.
Paper.
They're sending us one copy, and it's supposed to come between the filming of these two episodes. So I don't know. I would tune in next week. You might actually get to see it. And that should be very, very exciting for both of us. So what we've been doing for the last 11 weeks is we are going through all of Barbara's albums, and we are counting down our favorite songs that day. We love all of them, of course, but we are picking our favorite song at this moment. And we're starting off picking two albums at once. Matt, tell us what our first two albums are this week.
We're going to start with the Essential Barbra Streisand, which looked like this in America and which looks like this in Europe. And then Columbia thought 2 discs wasn't enough and released the Essential Barbra Streisand 3.0, which had 3 discs. Yeah, so we have, I mean, my Lord, I mean, there's a lot of songs on this album. Do you want to try to pick first?
Yeah, I'll go first because I don't have that 3er. I have the American tour, so I don't have the 3.0.
The 3er, they added a 3rd disc, and it has 9 tracks. Letting Go, Love Like Ours, At the Same Time, By the Way, Unusual Way, Evergreen, Wild as the Wind, On My Way to You, and After the Rain.
Interesting. Yeah, I actually don't have that one. I've never even seen it before. Now that came out in America?
Yeah. Yeah, Columbia rebranded it for some reason. They wanted to do this 3.0 is what they were calling it. So I mean, I have no idea why, but you know, 3 discs are better than 2, I guess.
Right. And so whenever we get to a greatest hits one, Matt and I use it to cheat to pick a song that we didn't get to pick early on. And for those of you who are in the Barbra Facebook group and have seen my posts, you know that I have an unnatural love for the album Till I Loved You. So I'm picking All I Ask of You because I didn't get to pick it the first time. And I will admit that I'm not that much of a fan of Phantom of the Opera. It is not something that I love, but I just love how she made this song her own. It really does not sound anything like the version that's in Phantom. It's so powerful. I'm very shocked she never sang this in concert. Because everyone knows this song. I mean, the actual song from Phantom, and it was a decent sized hit. I remember hearing it on the radio at the time. I think she should have pulled this one out. So that's my pick.
So I was able to interview Phil Ramone at one point before he passed away, and I asked him about this song because he produced the song for Till I Loved You, and he made comments which are in the book about how you create a pop version of a theater song. I think he involved the lyricists. There may be some lyric changes for Barbra's version. It also is a duet in the show. So, you know, Barbra's is a solo, and they had to make those accommodations. And then the other interesting thing, if you are a fan and you've heard some of the bootlegs, she and Rupert Holm tried to record this song over and over and over. And it just doesn't work, and you can hear it. And it's so rare to hear Barbra, you know, not hitting it out of the ballpark. It's not her fault. In the bootlegs I've heard, the arrangement just isn't good, and they can't find the tempo because it's all strings. So, you know, she and Rupert just have such a hard time finding a tempo for it. At one point, they even take out a recording of the Broadway recording, and they're like, how does the song go? You know? but the reason you like it so much, Scott, is because Phil Ramone found a tempo. You know, he found a tempo for it, and it's not just these soaring strings trying to, you know, keep a beat. He's got actual you know, tempo. So
well, and you know, everyone at home just like, I can't believe you just mentioned tempo to Scott about Till I Loved You. That is my whole point about Till I Loved You, is all the songs' tempos are perfect. And that is why people need to revisit that album. But we'll move on, because if I had my way, the name of this show would be Week After Week, Why Till I Loved You is a great album. But that's been voted down by the home viewers. What's your pick off Essential?
Well, you know, I'm not going to cheat and pick something from another album. I'm going to direct people's attention to Someday My Prince Will Come. And following the usual template at Columbia Records, they put out an album of hits that have already been released, but they include 2 new songs just to lure you into spending your money on things you already own. But I like Someday My Prince Will Come if you have to choose between the 2 new songs. And I think people forget it's on there. You know, and it was recorded when Jay Landers was an executive at Disney. I hope I got that right. Please forgive me, Jay, if I got that wrong. But he managed to get Barbra to join. Disney put out like an anniversary edition of Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs on DVD. And they had a music video to Barbra's recording of Someday My Prince Will Come. And they generously added it to the Essential. The other new song on here is You'll Never Walk Alone, which is the version she did at the Emmys. But I'm going to go with Someday My Prince Will Come.
Yes, I certainly have that version, and it is good, but I can't stop thinking about the fact that Jay told us that he wanted Barbra to sing Beauty and the Beast. That's in a prior episode. So if you're just joining us for the first time, go back and watch those Jay Landers episodes. He tells
the teapot. The teapot is a character.
So staying with this is we're counting this as one album. Now we're moving to her other compilation that came out the same year, right?
Yeah, 2002 was the year of compilation albums.
And we've got duets to do as well. This one, again, as you say, has 2 new songs on it. What are you picking from this one?
Well, I'm going to pick one of the new songs. I like All I Know of Love, which is the duet that she sings with Josh Groban. And, you know, the story goes is that the song was really meant to be between her and, oh God, help me remember his name, the blind tenor, Bocelli? No, wait.
And
Andrea Bocelli.
There's no way I could guess the name because if you remember, I have to be 100% accurate this episode.
Oh no. Now I'm afraid I got it wrong.
I can't.
Unscripted.
Yes.
Anyway, Bocelli, that's his name, right? Anyway.
I believe it is correct, but I am not going on record for anything.
I'm going to look right now.
100%
but anyway,
perfection.
Whatever his name is, and I apologize if I got it wrong. It was meant to be with him, but he, for some reason, Andrea Bocelli, I did have that right. Okay. But for some reason he couldn't record with Barbara, and Josh was really sort of like the demo singer of this tune, and they went with his vocal, and I love it. You'll always be the one who no 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 no. Anyway, it's a great song.
So my pick from this one is not one of the new ones. Mine is Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead.
Oh,
which
so much
I
fun.
think is so fun. And we didn't cover that album, the Harold Arlen one, because it's not really a Barbara album. So that wasn't one that we picked. So it's one that I like to get in. And I thought it was such a great idea that they put this on the duets, because it's one they could have easily have skimped on. And I had a feeling, I knew it, you know, because I had the box set back in 90, but it had to get much more play by being on this duets. And I'm glad that more people get to hear that. So now we're going to the movie album. But look at this one, actually just showed, and I feel weird about it. Maybe one of her best covers. Certainly one of her best recent covers. I love this picture. I'd have that as a poster.
I think some fans would probably thumb wrestle you over that.
Why? People don't like it?
You know, it's a Photoshop job. You know that, right?
Well, so what? It's her.
I should show you the original photo. I mean, they've changed her hair, and it's odd. I remember when it came out, people were like, "That's not her hair." Anyway, it is a pretty photo.
I just like her with the thing. I don't know. I guess I don't know those things.
I mean, it's appropriate. It's a little viewfinder. I mean, it's the movie album. Yeah.
So, my all-time favorite Barbara song is on this album. And we did get to talk to Richard J. Alexander about it when we had him on. If you missed that episode, Richard J. Alexander brought it to Barbara. So I thank him for that. You're going to hear from me is sort of my theme song in life. That's how I've lived my whole life. You know, why is this idiot publishing this huge book about Barbara? Because I look at the sky and say, move over, son, and give me some room. I mean, it's sort of, it is my hype song of all of my life. I listen to it whenever I need that extra boost. And it's so powerful, and I love what it has to say, and I love her performance. And in my iTunes, it is my #1 most listened to song of all time over the last 12 years that I've been keeping tracks of songs.
Nice. I like that song too. I wasn't familiar with it. I'd never really heard it before.
I hadn't either.
I think it's because the Natalie Wood movie in which she sings it, you know, you could only really, like, there was no DVD of it at the time, and you really had to catch it, you know, like on TV sometime, which, you know, is so old-fashioned these days when you can just order or rent something at the with a click of a button. But that's not the one I picked. First of all, this album is very controversial among the fans because once again, like we said in the last episode, Barbara made an album and everybody's expectations were high, and then they were frustrated when the album actually came out and they saw the songs that she chose, and there's no Disney and there's no James Bond theme and there's no, you know, just things that you think that she would record from movies. Instead, it's a idiosyncratic, very personal selection of songs that touched Barbara. And we got to know some songs that we may not have heard before, like you're going to hear from me. I think the one from Calling You from Baghdad Cafe. First of all, what a great movie if you haven't seen that movie. But like, who's seen that movie? What an odd choice. It is a good movie though. You should really see it. But I'm going to go with Wild as the Wind.
Yeah.
I love that song. It's so sensual. And just to hear her sing like a leaf clings to a tree. I mean, you can just see that leaf hanging on for dear life. And it's so sexy. It's such a sexy, sensual song. I know that she used to warm up with the band, with an orchestra to the song. She never sang it live for us. Oh God, I would have loved to have seen her in concert sing Wild as the Wind. But she talks about,
you know, it's funny because you and I comically throughout this rarely agree. And I am so happy you picked Wild as the Wind because there's so many reasons to love Barbara. But I feel like if you were talking to a young singer and you wanted to teach them something, how Barbara says wild, it's just one word.
Right.
But the wild, I mean, it's a small note, it's not very long, but she says it wildly. I mean, you can just picture her eyes getting big. You know that her eyes got big and her shoulders went up when she said wild. She's not just standing there saying wild is the wind. I'm a huge Johnny Mathis fan, and this, to me, this song will always be associated with Johnny. His version is great. It's the second best song on the CD. I do want to say this whole CD is great.
It's such an elegant album. I mean, it really is an elegant. I mean, and also, you know, maybe one of the last times, I'm going to get in trouble saying this. Well, one of the last few times she worked with a complete orchestra. You know, she's recorded with an orchestra into the future for sure, but not every track, you know. It's just such a beautiful album.
The song that I wish was on this album, and then Barbara has to smack me again when she does What Matters Most, because she had two opportunities to sing a song that I want Barbara to sing, and that was the theme from Tootsie. It might be you or it must be you. I forget what it is, because I want to be perfect in this episode, so it must be you or it might be you.
I'm telling you it might be you. Telling you it might be you.
Yeah, I think Barbara should sing that song, and it's a Bergman song. So I thought for sure it would be on the movie album. And then I heard, oh, she's doing an album of Bergman songs. And I'm like, well, at least she's going to sing it on What Matters Most, and she hasn't.
And so I'm going to take us down a side path and do a call out to the lovely Jeff Blumenkrantz, who is probably most known for playing Bud Frump on Broadway in How to Succeed, I think with Matthew Broderick, but he's a songwriter. And there's a YouTube video of him singing the Tootsie song, just accompanying himself on piano. And it is the most lovely version you've ever heard the song, and it will make you cry. He's so dear and tender.
And I'm writing that down because I love that song. And he also wrote a song, I think it's called I Won't Mind, that is spectacular.
I don't know that one. Yeah.
Audra McDonald sings it. So Barbara could sing that song too. But a lot of times people criticize us for not being critical. So here's Guilty Pleasures. This is
known in Europe as Guilty 2.
Yeah. And I want to say, I thought it should have been called Not Guilty. When I heard they were doing a sequel, why isn't this called Not Guilty? How great would it have been to be guilty and not guilty?
Ooh, yeah.
And even they could have written a song called Not Guilty that would have been good. I mean, George Harrison has a Not Guilty song. I'm not saying doing his. I love everyone in the world, and everyone who worked on this album is a wonderful human being, and they did the best they could. But this literally is my least favorite Barbra album. It just doesn't work for me. I just don't like that. I think it's such a disappointment. I just don't like this album. I'm so sorry to everyone. It's the only one it struggles, but my pick is Letting Go. I think it's one of the only songs of Barbra and just piano that I can think of. Like, it's stripped down, it's nice. But even that one, it doesn't say a lot. This album just is not up to Barbra's standards, in my opinion. And, please, everyone forgive me.
Okay.
Just an album ago, I picked my all-time favorite Barbra song. So I still love everyone.
Well, this episode is officially canceled.
Yeah, and I am probably too. No one's buying the book this week. Why don't you really get me and go out to tuckerdspress.com and just buy that book just to show me? What is your opinion of Guilty Pleasures?
I like it. I always try to sell it as it's probably the album in your collection you haven't listened to in a while. Take it out and listen. It's really nice. It's a good album. And it was hard to write about it in the book because the Bee Gees and Barry Gibb are kind of known as disco, right? Because they had the huge hit with Stayin' Alive and all the disco hits. But this is not a disco album. It doesn't sound anything like disco. And the songs that he's written, most of the songs he's written with his sons. So, and they're playing on the album too. I mean, they've got a hot little band accompanying Barbra. I mean, the music is fantastic and so well produced. It's a great studio album. But the songs, I mean, what are the songs? Are these pop? I mean, you wouldn't play these on the radio. They're not that kind of song. They almost reach into the past and sort of sound like standards or Tin Pan Alley ditties. Like, it's weird. It's a hard album to classify. That being said, I do like most of the songs here. I love Letting Go. She does a great live version on the accompanying DVD that, there's a CD on one side and a DVD on the other. And she does a great live version of Letting Go. But I'm going to pick, if I put this album on, I listen to Above the Law. It's my love and your love. It's just so much fun to sing along to. It's her and Barry duetting. And the video for it is just so cute. Barbra's adorable in it. And I think she contributed some of the lyrics to that song. It's just so much fun. I love to sing along with it.
You've got the next album.
Yeah. Next album is Live 2006. This has the Target sticker because it came with a bonus disc. Actually, it's not a disc. The last two songs on the album are Stony End and Don't Rain on My Parade. Which is rare. She cut it from the show. I think maybe she sang it the first show, but then cut it. So it's a full version of Don't Rain on My Parade. And it has a Bill Ross orchestration, which is really nice. And it's kind of a happy medium between film version and Broadway version. It's a different arrangement. It's nice. If you can find the Target, I don't think it's sold at Target anymore, but if you can find it on eBay or something, you should get it for Don't Rain on My Parade.
Yeah, I actually don't have that version. I do have that CD, but I couldn't find it this morning. Yeah. But I don't have the Target version. So I think you need to send me those two MP3s. Yeah. I went to see this in Columbus. I was living in Columbus, Ohio, and she crazily came to Columbus, Ohio, which was like insane to me that she came to Columbus. Yeah. And I saw her at Nationwide Arena. It was a great show. It was early in the run, so I had no idea what she was going to sing. So there were a ton of surprises. Richard J. did a great job with this. As I said, I guess it was last episode. This is the concert I watched the second most. I always go to my concert in 94, but then I
Right.
love watching the 2006 concerts. It's on Blu-ray, which is nice. And there's bonus things, which is nice. So it's a really good release. What I remember most about it is that she left and then she came out with her dog and sang Smile. And so I think I was on the floor, but way back. They weren't the greatest seats. But I knew this had to be the last song because I think she had already done an encore and you just knew Smile was it. And I ran all the way down. I got to the 10th row, sat. And it was the closest I'd ever been to her. She's holding the dog, singing Smile. That has burnt into my brain.
I have a few stories about this. Can we tell stories today? Because this brings back such great memories. So 2006, first of all, you know, the fans are crazy and we all know that. I'm a crazy fan too. But what I remember is that in the chat rooms, I mean, it must have been Facebook. In 2006, we had Facebook, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So there was a rumor, Barbara's opening with Night of My Life from Guilty Pleasures.
Okay.
Which is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's obviously not true, but that was going around for a hot minute. Barbara's opening with Night of My Life, which is just crazy. The other thing I remember is I went to opening night in Philadelphia. I was living in DC, so I just drove north to Philly and I saw opening night, and boy, what a treat. And then I also saw it in Washington, DC when she came. And by then, Team Barbara was using me, you know, for questions and photos and stuff. So I got some house seats, and I had some pretty darn good seats to that show. And I remember that. I would think I was 5th row center.
Oh my gosh.
Never forget it. I remember in DC, she parted her hair on the side that night. I think that's right. Anyway, those are my memories. It's a great show. I mean, I think out of all her recent live shows, this one, I love that they doubled down, Richard J and her doubled down on Funny Girl. Mm-hmm. They were just like, it's part of her legacy and we're gonna let you know it. We're gonna open the show with the Broadway Overture by Julie Stein. And that's the first time, I think I'm right, that's the first time they used the Funny Girl Overture to open a Barbra Streisand concert.
Yeah.
Such a thrill to hear the orchestra perform this live. God, I love this show. And I pull out the Blu-ray all the time. I think it's her only Blu-ray too of a concert.
I know, and they all should be. Yeah, I mean, while I love the concert, the quality is old. I mean, you can tell it's old. It needs to be rebuffed. And so let's get on that as well. Come on, Jay. So my pick from this one is Have I Stayed Too Long at the Fair? Barbara says she might have been too young when she sang it, but she certainly is the right age to be singing it right here in 2006. And her voice is spectacular. The acting, spectacular. I was shocked. It was one that I just wasn't expecting to hear. And it's beautiful. I love that version.
I am picking Unusual Way. Always been a favorite of mine. I knew the song before Barbara recorded it. So when she pulled it up and sang it in concert, I was elated. And I love Barbara as a singer so much. And I love what she's done with Unusual Way. She's the only recording artist that's recorded it that does In a Very Unusual Way. No. You know, she sings that low note, which is just so lovely. And it's not the melody, but that's the way she sings it. And the camera's right on her eyes and she just looks up at the end as the lights fade out and does a little smile. And you wonder, who is this about? Who did she love in a very unusual way? Maybe it lasted a day, maybe it lasted a lifetime. Oh my God. Beautiful lyric, beautiful song, beautiful melody. Great job, Barbara.
So now we luckily go back to vinyl and we've got Love Is the Answer.
That's rare.
Yeah. And you know, I did not pay very much for this. I got this when it came out, and vinyl wasn't ridiculous back then as it is now, but I think this might be worth a couple $100 now.
Yeah, I don't know the reason, but it's not like it was rare. It's just I think people didn't realize it, and then all of a sudden they won it, and it is sold out. I don't think you can get it anywhere except resold on eBay.
Right, and they're pretty expensive. So this is an album. It's funny, the last album, am I right? What was the last studio album I really was not a fan of, was Guilty Pleasures.
Guilty Pleasures.
Then, just like Barbara does, I would submit Love Is the Answer is her best post-2000 album, like the best album of this millennia. This album is so good. God bless Diana Krall. Do you know how Diana Krall and Barbra Streisand interacted?
Diana Krall was at a party, and Barbara said, "I'm getting ready to do concerts." And Diana Krall was like, "I'll send you a mixtape with some suggestions of songs." And then Diana was sitting out front at the concert, one of the concerts, this would have been 2006, with Alan Bergman. And Alan said, "I've always thought Barbara should do a jazz album." And Diana was like, "I'll do it." As one should say in such a moment. So that's really how they got together. This album is recorded differently than most of Barbara's albums because Diana records with a combo first and then layers in the orchestra later. So Barbara's not in a studio with 68 pieces. She's just with a quartet. So that's very different than Barbara usually records. And of course, anybody who knows anything about this album knows that they did release a deluxe version that had the quartet version of all the songs and then the orchestrated version of all the songs. So that was just really cool to listen and to hear the process.
And are the vocals the same on both?
Yes, I have very efficiently listened to everything, both versions. There is one note that is different on the quartet version versus the orchestrated version, and that's in Smoke Gets in Your Eyes. She sings a different note at the end on the quartet version, but everything else is note for note.
And if you, the house was burning down and you had the quartet version here and you had the orchestra version here and you could only save one, which one would you save?
Quartet.
Me too.
For some reason, and I know this isn't true, but for some reason they seem like they're the real songs because they were recorded first. Like that's... I
just think the sound is better. There's just something about the sound. It feels more like a jazz album. That being said, the vinyl is the orchestration version.
Oh, so, it is? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so these are just the orchestra versions. So for me, again, as I said, I am an old person who listens to MP3s, which that in itself seems funny. But so when in my phone, I always have the quartet version and not the orchestra version. When I'm listening to the record, then I listen to the orchestra version. That's how I sort of deliver mine in both ways.
Well, listen, I recently did an interview with Broadway World for the book. It hasn't come out yet. Maybe by the time this airs, it'll be out, who knows. But she, a great interviewer, interviewed me, and I told her that it is a shame that Barbara did not win a Grammy Award for this album. Because like you said, I think it's one of her best albums ever, period. And the singing on this is just so good. And I don't know who won that year. It was probably Tony Bennett.
Yeah.
Because he seems to win. If it wasn't Tony Bennett, then it was Michael Bublé. And and I told the Broadway World interviewer, and I'm telling all of you, Barbara has not won a Grammy Award since 1987 for the Broadway album. Barbara has not won a Grammy Award since 1987 for the Broadway album. Now, she did get like a Legend Award in '92, but every time she's been nominated for any of these albums that we're talking about, she never wins. And it just goes beyond, I mean, it does venture into conspiracy theory territory at this point. And I love Tony Bennett, so I'm not being mean. I've seen Tony Bennett and I've seen Michael Bublé, who puts on a great concert and sings amazingly. But these guys keep winning the damn Grammy. What's up, Grammy Awards? What's up?
Yeah, it makes no sense that this didn't win, and also that the concert didn't win. Like, she won the Emmys and all those, you know, the Peabody and all kinds of things for that. At the minimum, something should have won there. The thing about Love Is the Answer is that this is the exact music, you know. Again, I should just be running away from my guilty pleasure comment, and yet I keep going back to it. But when I said that, like, you know, the lyrics just aren't there, the lyrics are here in this album. And I'm gonna go, this was the hardest pick for me, because there are two songs that I love so much, and I could have been either one, but today I'm picking Here's to Life. And this is like, of course, this is what Barbra should be singing. I mean, I didn't know this song beforehand. She said that, you know, in the liner notes, she mentioned someone's famous for this song, but I had never heard it before. So to me, it's just a Barbra song. And Barbra will do it in a concert coming up here that we'll be covering in another episode. But to me, this studio version with the quartet, it's, you could just, I can smell the smoke. I'm getting secondhand smoke listening to that song. And it's just the kind of music she should be singing. And I wish Diana Krall would do a sequel with her, because I think they were a great team.
So I'm going to choose Smoke Gets in Your Eyes. Speaking about smoke, how's that for a segue?
Yeah, how about that?
I don't know why. It's probably the only song, you know, when they announced the track listing, it's probably the only song I knew. You know, Smoke Gets in Your Eyes, just, you know, everybody knows that song from the 50s. And Barbra doesn't disappoint. I mean, she definitely gives it her own reading and does it her own way, does it in her style. And before anybody asks, no, the sort of graveliness of her voice when she hits the high note at the end doesn't bother me. I think it's fantastic, in fact. And also, listen to her breathing. I mean, that woman has preternational, what's the word I want? She has preternational,
really good
breathing. Yeah, somebody's gonna have to look at a dictionary for that word I was trying to pull out of thin air. Anyway, listen to her breathing, especially on Smoke Gets in Your Eyes. She's seen some of the longest lines, and I'm like, my God, what beautiful long lines. Oh, she's just the best singer ever. And, you know, she was of a certain age when she recorded this and just sounds fantastic. And like you said earlier, you know, I'm not a technician, but there's something about the recording of her voice on this album that sounds different to me than most other albums. And I don't know if they did something different, I don't know, but she's just, you know, cozied right up there to the mic. And when she sings her high notes, instead of, you know, nah, you know, instead of like throwing her head back and just belting, it's like she focuses everything into the microphone, and it's just a great recording.
I love that you're picking Smoke Gets in Your Eyes, because also these are the kind of songs that I love. This is going back to the music that I love. And when I looked at the song list, I knew a lot of them, but I was like, Smoke Gets in Your Eyes from Ghost? Like,
From Ghost.
What?
Yes.
But then, as you said, she makes it her own, and I loved it. But at first I thought, oh, I'm not gonna like that. Like, what is she doing? But it's really not, it's not like the Righteous Brothers at all. You know, that's like, that's a completely different song. Barbra, as we should know she's going to do, makes it her own. The second track that I just love from this is Here's That Rainy Day. That's always been one of my favorite songs, and it's been a song that I wanted her to sing, and then she finally did. So it was really hard for me not to pick it. But there's something about Here's to Life that I love. And I think, you know, working with a female producer was a good idea. I think I say I'd love to see Barbra do an all-female album. I think it would be interesting with all female writers, maybe even musicians and performers. I just think it would be interesting to see what that would come out to be. I don't know why this is coming to me, that this has got to be our longest episode ever. And we promise next episode is going to be shorter. And I'm going to be holding up the book. Remember, next time you see, you're going to see the book. But I'm doing research on this, my next book that I'm doing. And I ended up watching an interview with Julia Roberts. And they were asking her about being the highest paid actress at a certain time in her career. And she said, they asked her what she thought of it. And she said, all I thought of was how Barbra Streisand had a machete and cleared out the path for me. And
Use the word machete?
She did. She said she used a machete to clear out the path for me.
Strange thing to say, but it's true. It's true.
It is true. And it was nice to hear like someone give Barbra that credit, you know, because as a female artist, what Barbra has done can never be diminished, which is why I think having almost a female tribute album at this late in her career would be interesting. Because I think you wouldn't think of Julia Roberts looking to Barbra as one of her mentors or path setters, and she did. So I don't know, that just came to me right now, so I thought I'd share with everyone because I knew they wanted to know. So there we go, we did it. And you know, my gosh, we only have 8 more hours of this and this will be done.
Goodness.
Everyone go out to tuckerdspress.com. Can we even call it pre-ordering anymore? This book is eminent, friends. We are talking daily. It could be on my front door, and you want to get the first copy. As we said, in next week's episode, I'm going to be holding the book in my hand, but don't get excited. That doesn't mean they're here. That just means one copy is here. They're sending me one preview copy. We still got some time, but it does mean they're printed and put together. We're just waiting for that slow boat to make its way across America or the ocean and all such things. So we thank you for everything. When you go out and pre-order, it makes a difference for us. So, and let's get back to guilty pleasures. Now, what I want to say about that is